There's something about hotels that makes them the perfect setting for a haunting. Maybe it's the endless parade of strangers, the rooms that hold 1,000 secrets, or the way the hallways seem to stretch on forever, echoing with footsteps that don't always belong to the living. Tonight, I'm taking you on a journey through the 7 most terrifying haunted hotels in the world, places so chilling, so infamous, that even the bravest travelers refuse to spend the night. If you think you're ready, keep watching. But be warned, number 4 will give you nightmares. Our journey begins in the heart of California's most glamorous city, at a hotel that's as famous for its ghosts as it is for its celebrity guests. The Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel has stood on Hollywood Boulevard since 1927, hosting everyone from Marilyn Monroe to Charlie Chaplin. But beneath the glitz and glamour, there's a darker side. Guests have reported seeing the ghost of Marilyn herself, her reflection appearing in a full-length mirror that once hung in her favorite suite. Others have heard the sound of a trumpet playing in the empty Blossom Ballroom, believed to be the spirit of Montgomery Clift, who stayed at the hotel while filming From Here to Eternity. Lights flicker, cold spots appear, and some guests have even woken to find a shadowy figure standing at the foot of their bed. The Roosevelt embraces its haunted reputation, but even the staff admit there are parts of the hotel they avoid after dark. From the bright lights of Hollywood, we travel to the windswept moors of England, where the ancient Ram Inn has terrified guests for centuries. Built in 1145, this inn is considered one of the most haunted buildings in the UK. Its history is steeped in blood, rumors of witchcraft, pagan rituals, and even human sacrifice. Guests have reported being pushed, scratched, and even dragged from their beds by unseen hands. The most infamous room is the Bishop's Room, where visitors have seen apparitions, heard disembodied voices, and felt an overwhelming sense of dread. Some guests have fled in the middle of the night, refusing to ever return. The owner, who lived there for decades, claimed he was attacked by spirits on multiple occasions. If you're looking for a place where the past refuses to die, the ancient Ram Inn is waiting for you. Next, we head to the American South, to a city famous for its ghosts and its charm. The Bourbon Orleans Hotel in New Orleans stands on the site of a former convent, orphanage, and ballroom, and its halls are said to be filled with the spirits of those who never left. Guests have seen the ghost of a little girl chasing her ball down the hallway, a Confederate soldier standing guard in the lobby, and a mysterious woman in black who vanishes when approached. The most haunted room is said to be 644, where guests have reported cold spots, flickering lights, and the feeling of being watched. The hotel embraces its haunted history, offering ghost tours and sharing stories with curious guests. But some say the spirits here are more than just stories. They're a part of the hotel's soul. Our 4th stop is the one that will haunt your dreams. The Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado, is famous for inspiring Stephen King's The Shining, but the real-life hauntings are just as terrifying as anything in fiction. Guests have reported hearing children laughing and running in the halls, even when no children are staying at the hotel. Room 217 is infamous for ghostly activity, lights turning on and off, objects moving on their own, and the apparition of a former housekeeper who still tidies up after guests. The Grand Staircase is said to be a hotspot for paranormal encounters, with guests feeling cold hands on their shoulders or seeing shadowy figures out of the corner of their eye. The Stanley offers ghost tours and even encourages guests to try to capture evidence of the supernatural. But many who visit leave with more than just photos. They leave with stories they'll never forget and nightmares that linger long after they've checked out. From the mountains of Colorado, we travel to the heart of Japan, to a hotel that's as mysterious as it is haunted. The Hosher Ryokan is one of the oldest hotels in the world, operating for over 1,300 years. Legend has it that the spirit of the hotel's founders still walks the halls, watching over guests and staff. But not all the spirits here are friendly. Guests have reported seeing ghostly figures in traditional dress, hearing footsteps in empty corridors, and feeling a cold presence in their rooms at night. Some say the hotel is built on sacred ground and that the spirits of ancient monks still linger, protecting or perhaps warning those who stay. The Hoshir Ryokan is a place where the line between the living and the dead is thin and where every creak and whisper might be something more. Our next stop takes us to the heart of Ireland, to a castle-turned-hotel that's as beautiful as it is haunted. Leap Castle is known as the most haunted castle in Ireland, and its bloody chapel is the site of countless ghost stories. Guests have reported seeing the ghost of a priest murdered during Mass, a woman in red who wanders the halls, and a terrifying entity known as the Elemental, a creature said to bring death and misfortune to those who see it. The castle's dungeons are filled with the echoes of the past, and some guests have fled in terror after encountering the spirits that call Leap Castle home. The hotel offers tours for the brave, but most visitors are content to admire the castle from a safe distance. Finally, we end our journey in the heart of New York City at the infamous Chelsea Hotel. This iconic building has been home to artists, musicians, and writers for over a century, but it's also known for its dark history. The spirits of former residents are said to linger in the halls. Poet Dylan Thomas, who died in room 206, Nancy Spungen, who was found dead in room 100, and countless others who met tragic ends within its walls. Guests have reported seeing shadowy figures, hearing disembodied voices, and feeling an overwhelming sense of sadness. The Chelsea is a place where creativity and tragedy are forever intertwined and where the past is never far away. These 7 hotels are more than just places to sleep. They're gateways to the unknown, where the line between reality and nightmare is always shifting. If you ever find yourself checking in, remember, some guests never leave. For some, haunted hotels are just a curiosity, a story to tell, a dare to accept, or a thrill to chase. But for those who have spent a night in one of these infamous places, the experience is something that lingers long after checkout. The walls seem to breathe with secrets, the air feels heavy with memories, and every creak or whisper in the night becomes a question you're not sure whether you want answered. As we revisit these 7 terrifying hotels, let's look deeper at the chilling encounters that have made them legends and the guests who left with more than just a bill. At the Hollywood Roosevelt, the stories never stop. One guest, a skeptic who booked a room for the novelty, woke in the middle of the night to the sound of laughter echoing from the hallway. When he opened the door, the corridor was empty, but the laughter continued, growing louder, closer, until it seemed to be coming from inside his own room. He checked out the next morning, pale and shaken, swearing never to return. Another guest reported seeing a woman in a white dress standing at the end of her bed, her face obscured by shadows. When he blinked, she was gone, but the scent of Chanel No. 5 lingered in the air, a detail that matches Marilyn Monroe's favorite perfume. The Ancient Ram Inn is a place where even the bravest ghost hunters tread carefully. One paranormal investigator spent a night in the bishop's room, armed with cameras and recorders. Around 3 a.m., the temperature dropped suddenly, and the investigator felt an icy hand grip his ankle. He tried to move, but found himself paralyzed, unable to speak or call for help. The sensation lasted only a minute, but it felt like an eternity. When he finally broke free, he found deep red marks on his skin, as if someone or something had tried to drag him from the bed. He left before sunrise, convinced that the stories of the inn's violent past were more than just legend. At the Bourbon Orleans Hotel, the line between history and haunting is razor thin. A couple celebrating their anniversary in room 644 reported waking to the sound of a child giggling. When they turned on the light, They saw a small ball rolling across the floor, followed by the fleeting image of a little girl in a white dress. The girl vanished through the wall, leaving the couple stunned and speechless. Other guests have seen the Confederate soldier in the lobby, always standing at attention, always disappearing when approached. The staff say he's a harmless spirit, but guests who have seen him up close describe a chill that seeps into their bones. The Stanley Hotel's reputation is so powerful that even those who don't believe in ghosts find themselves unnerved. One guest, a writer hoping for inspiration, stayed in room 217. He woke in the middle of the night to find his suitcase unpacked, his clothes neatly folded on the dresser. Thinking it was a prank, he checked the hallway, but no one was there. Later, he learned that the ghost of Elizabeth Wilson, the former housekeeper, is known for tidying up after guests. Another visitor captured a photo on the grand staircase that showed a shadowy figure standing just behind her, a figure that wasn't there when the picture was taken. The hotel staff have grown used to these stories, but they still warn guests. If you hear children laughing in the halls after midnight, it's best to stay in your room. The Hosher Ryokan in Japan is a place where tradition and the supernatural walk hand in hand. One guest, a businessman traveling alone, reported waking to the sound of chanting outside his door. When he opened it, he saw a procession of ghostly monks moving silently down the corridor, their faces hidden beneath their hoods. The vision lasted only a moment, but the guest was so shaken that he checked out the next morning, leaving behind a note thanking the spirits for their hospitality. Other guests have seen the founder's spirit, described as a kindly old man who appears in times of trouble, offering comfort and guidance. Leap Castle's Bloody Chapel is a place where the past refuses to rest. One visitor, a historian researching the castle's history, spent the night in the chapel, hoping to experience the supernatural for himself. Around midnight, he heard footsteps echoing through the stone halls, followed by the sound of a woman weeping. He saw the lady in red, her dress stained with blood, gliding silently through the darkness. The historian tried to follow, but she vanished into the walls. Later, he found a cold spot where she had stood and the scent of roses lingering in the air. The elemental, however, is a different story. Guests who have encountered it describe a feeling of overwhelming dread, a stench of decay, and the sense that something ancient and malevolent is watching from the shadows. The Chelsea Hotel in New York is a place where art and tragedy are forever entwined. One guest, a musician, reported waking to the sound of a typewriter clacking in the next room. When he investigated, he found the room empty, but the typewriter continued to tap out a rhythm, spelling out the name Dylan. Others have seen Nancy Spongeon's ghost wandering the halls, her presence marked by a sudden drop in temperature and the faint sound of punk music. The Chelsea's ghosts are as creative as its living residents, and the stories they leave behind are as haunting as any song or poem. What all these hotels have in common is the way they blur the line between the living and the dead. They are places where history is alive, where every room holds a story, and where the past is never truly gone. For those who dare to stay, the experience is unforgettable, and sometimes it's more than they bargained for. If you're listening to these stories and thinking, I could handle a night in one of these hotels, remember that every guest who left with a story thought the same thing. The most important lesson is to respect the unknown, to listen to your instincts, and to remember that some doors are better left closed. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the 7 most terrifying haunted hotels you must not stay in. If you have a story of your own, a night spent in a haunted hotel, or a ghostly encounter you can't explain, share it in the comments. You never know who might need to hear it, who might find comfort in knowing they're not alone. Stay safe, trust your instincts, and remember, sometimes the scariest stories are the ones that could happen to any of us.